Well, that was interesting. I framed the shot and then suddenly it went, whoops, close up. Today is 24, well, this week, 25 years I've been doing 3D. So I thought I'd do a quick video on it because it's not like I've got any parties or anything planned. Um, I thought, well, let's do a bit of a retrospective. And I thought, well, that's going to get a bit big-headed. So I thought I've come up with a few sort of questions on here that you might want to know the answer to, you know. So here we go. It was 1993. I was 23-year-old, and sort of, it's like, this is a question for my wife. What was your path into the industry? Tell you there was two. The first one was a mate of mine, Phil Scott, who was working at Rage Software in Newcastle at the time, and they had some extra copies, or old copies of 3D Max going at the time. And he says, oh yeah, because I just moved out from my parents into a flat in Consett. And he said, oh, this will give you something to do. Learn that. So there was no online help at the time. The early 3D Max help documentation and tutorial files were notoriously bad. I spent about a week making a chess piece and a few other things. And then, in my infinite wisdom, declared it'll never catch on. I dumped that for about a year or two. And after that, see, this is another one that's quite embarrassing. I was sort of, my brother was over one night, and I'm a big Star Wars nerd, as a lot of people normally know. And I'd seen this guy had uploaded a 3D model of Darth Vader's helmet. It was rather good, only one problem. I knew it wasn't his, because I'd seen it on this site that let you download 3D models of like various Star Wars things. And I called him out on it and said, look, you know, plagiarism, not good, son. You know, I was like, you don't want to be doing this. And then I had a conversation with brother, and I've actually wrote down the quote here, and it's very embarrassing. And I says, oh, that 3D stuff doesn't look too hard. I bet you I can learn it in a few weeks. And needless to say, my brother Simon won that bet. And I'm still learning to this day, 25 years later. So what was my favourite place to work? Without doubt, favourite place to work was between 2012 and 2013 as 3D supervisor on Last Days on Mars at Screen Scene in Dublin. An amazing work environment. At the time, I was sort of not persona non grata in the industry, but you know, because I lived in the middle of nowhere and wasn't really prepared to relocate to the side of the planet, there wasn't a lot of work in, and they made me an offer to go over there. I had an amazing time. With, you know, people who work there, I'm still good friends with, you know, like Garliff Lovenbeck, you know, Jack and Mo, of course, Sarah, Yanko, Amy, you know, Nico. Literally, I could go on all day, everybody there. And most of them I still get on with, you know. It was a fantastic time, and it was a really good, positive work environment. Going to work, you look forward to going to work, right? You weren't dreading going into work. I used to wake up in the morning, and it was literally great. I get to go to work today, and I enjoyed, you know, the fact that somebody finally gave me enough responsibility to use what was up here, which is quite extensive. And although obviously the film didn't exactly set the world on fire, I'm still proud of the work that was done on that in the time limit, on the budget that was available, and it's, you know, it looks perfectly real. And it would stand up against anything else from firms a lot larger at the time. So it was really good. It was a good sort of project to work on. I've got the DVD of it. It's unopened. I very rarely watch films I've worked on, TV series. I keep thinking at some point I should really open that up now, but I'm thinking, yeah, but you've not opened the DVD. If you keep the DVD, maybe one day it'll be worth money. It won't, but you know. Anyway, and this is from another one from my wife. Who's the most interesting person that you've met in 3D? Now this is, you know, would be a big list. And it took me a while to actually narrow this down. Because I've met all sorts of people, like, you know, like Tara Whitlash, who's the concept designer for a lot of the Star Wars creatures. A very interesting woman, you know. You've got people like Glenn Southern, who has a collection of snakes and spiders and stuff, which of course freaks me out because I don't like spiders. There's all sorts of people that go on all day, but without doubt, the most interesting person and the biggest contradiction is Neil Blevins. Now, I've all the time in the world for Neil Blevins, and you know, it's only fairly recently he stopped working at Pixar, but for a large amount of time, he was both working at Pixar and also a death metal drummer. Now, if that isn't a complete contradiction in terms, I don't know what is. I've got all the time in the world from Neil. Another one from the wife. Who do you respect most in 3D? This is a hard one. Maybe this is just me being quite self-centered, but I respect the people like myself that are often from the middle of nowhere, have to do the hard yards because they weren't born and haven't lived in the centre of things. I always say if you pick a point in the world, the furthest point away from 3D visual effects and games, it's right here. And I'm not alone. There's plenty of people like that. It's why I, in my career, have tried to help, especially people who aren't, say, living in Montreal or living in LA or living in London. I try and help people outside of that because they have a harder time, and you've got to effectively be better, because for somebody to fly you all the way over somewhere, or move you down there, it's more expensive than if you're just down the road. This is one from the wife. You can tell the wife's questions by the phrasing. What tools in 3D have you been responsible, had a part in creating? Well, this is quite interesting, because quite a lot of it I can't mention because I'm still in the NDAs. But there's all sorts of stuff I wrote at various points. There's loads of stuff I wrote in pipelines. Everything from scripts to full applications. And usually when you leave the firm, they own it. So I can't even mention that stuff. And at least one firm, all the source code had to be left behind. And I was checked to make sure that was the case. Other places are quite cool about it and don't really mind. Of course, most people know about the whole Mudwalker thing. If you don't, Mudwalker was basically, at the time there was only one thing that did anything similar that Pixologic had released, but it was only for the Mac. There was nothing on the PC. And it allowed you to transfer from there to there. Now, Mudwalker still does more than anything else. It was the granddaddy of all of them, and bizarrely nobody's ever picked up and really done all the things. It could send from there to there to there to there to there, and literally just covered every application that was possible to cover. Because I had no political software affiliation, to me, if a guy wants to send it from Max to Lightwave or Mudbox to ZBrush, that's not my problem. That's theirs. It's up to that's their pipeline. I can't screw up their pipeline. But again, that's not the way the big firms work. They don't want to push another competitor's product, which is why you don't see a lot of it now. You've got things like Center Substance, which is basically just Mudwalker for Substance, really. And I'm very proud of that. And I released that for nothing, because I thought there's guys out there like me that have fuck all money-wise, and every software license is a major deal. It's why I've always released everything for nothing, and probably lost myself a fortune in the process. There was the vector displacement shader that I wrote. That was a favour from Autodesk, because that release of Mudbox added the vector displacement shader, which meant instead of like the model just displacing up and down, it would go in 3 dimensions, which opened things up a lot. Unfortunately, there was no native support in Maya or Max or Softimage when that was still alive at the time. So they asked me, "And you think I knock this up, Wayne?" So I did. Got a bit of advice from my good mate Zap Anderson, who, to be honest, I always personally credit with at least half of that development. I know we got sort of a bit, wrong about that, but that was, he's not at Mental Images anymore, he's at Autodesk, so he's probably okay now. Yeah, Zap was responsible for half of that, and he knows that, and, I released that for free. I always said if I'd made that, just charged 10 quid for it, I would have been a millionaire. The amount of people that used it. Eventually I had to discontinue it because I was getting emails every day about, coming to use this, can you do that, blah, 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 blah. Square Enix used it, asked permission to use it and use a source code, internal version of Game Engine they were using, blah, blah, blah. That source code went all over the place. Then there was Reducto. I'm still proud of that, because to this day, it was one of those crazy ideas I had with, where I thought that I could make something do polygon reduction better. And I did. For organic models, it still does a better job than anything else. Now, I haven't touched that source code in fucking years. I keep opening up every now and again, looking at it and thinking, I should really do something with this. But it's that extensive, there's a lot of lines of code in that. And it's, it's a large undertaking, that chances are most people aren't going to buy anyway. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff I've wrote at firms. There was at least one firm where when I left, being an honest guy, everything you work on outside of work they own as well. So I outlined the whole lot and handed them over. There was enough for about 6 white papers and 4 patents. I don't know whether they ever actually went through with that, but yeah. So, what shot or asset am I most proud of? Now, this one's quite easy for me. Because when I was starting out in 3D, the sort of things I used to like, shots I used to like, I thought, oh, I'll never get to do one of those. And it was the Fossey Jaw shot from the first series of Ripper Street, the TV series. The bitch with the hole in the face, right? Because I was sitting at my office in Ledgate, everybody else was sitting in Dublin. I had no access to the wax model that was made, only some photographs that had been sent over. And there was a handful of us worked on it, and I still believe that stands up and will do it to my dying day. And I don't think that shot could be done any better than it was. It was perfect, you know. Because I know there was me, there was Yanko, there was John, who else was working on it? Joe, as well, doing the try. Yeah, there's, you know, it's good. What's my favourite role that I've been employed as? Well, there's been quite a fucking few over the years. Part of me was tempted to say, you know, bum, but that's not really employed. I sort of do like the freelance stuff, but also don't. I don't like the idea that it takes often quite a long time to get paid for stuff you're doing. But from things I've been employed as, I'd say it's a tie, a three-way tie. If it's just from a purely creative level, it would be between digital sculpting, just pure digital sculpting, and lighting lead. But also when I've been 3D supervisor at places, because it's often, you know, most of you guys that are in 3D know what it's like. That not every art director knows what the fuck he's talking about. And not every lead knows what he's talking about. So it's nice when you know your shit to be able to go, okay, this is what I need you guys to do. And these guys do it, and it turns out great. You go, awesome. And everybody's happy. It's always a team effort. What's the best working environment? Two entirely different things, but the best working environments would be split between Kiosk Group, although to be fair I was working remote, but working with those guys, I worked for about 2.5 years. It's actually about a year since I stopped working for Kiosk Group, doing, like, you know, I was on documentation team and doing training and those stuff, and it was a really good, healthy working environment. I enjoyed it, and I've got all the time in the world and still do for all the lads at Kiosk Group and the lasses as well. But also, obviously, Screen Scene as well, because it was a positive working environment, which is very rare these days. You know. What thing is my work on that's been seen by the most people? Well, that's a fucking easy one. That would be 2012 Olympics in London, the Jesse Owens digital double. Apparently, it was seen by nearly a third of the planet live. And I knew the moment that was seen, it was an amazing moment, but also a very sad moment for me, because I knew the chance of me ever reaching that audience again was fucking zero. Because it was pointed out that that's more people than have ever seen any Star Wars film, any Lord of the Rings film, every Maker film, or any James Bond film together. And that fucks with your head a little bit. It really does. It was a nightmare to do, because I was on a permanent screen share with an art director that thought that it was a brilliant idea to watch me sculpt until about 6 in the morning on this thing. Which you can't concentrate if somebody's like on an earpiece going da 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 da, and you just feel like saying, "Look, shut the fuck up and let me do my job. I'll get it done in a few hours." But no. Anyway, what do I do in my spare time and for fun? Yeah, see, you probably heard that the wife says drink beer. That's fairly obvious. I spend quality time with the wife and kids. Play a lot of instruments. Keep forgetting how many I can play. Let's see if I can remember. I play guitar in many styles, mandolin, ukulele, banjo, piano, mandolin, bass. I'm missing some out here. Drums. Other stuff I can't remember. Yeah, I play a lot of instruments. I find learning musical instruments incredibly easy. Don't know why. Write and record music and release albums and stuff that most people don't listen to. Do it in lots and lots and lots of different styles. I've done everything from death metal to orchestral stuff. I've had a orchestral concept album I've been working on since 2012. It's part of a bet with, I think it was with Steve and Sarah when I was over in Dublin. And they bet me I couldn't make an album, out of the title Captain Dildo and the Nipple Clamps on Mars. Now I did, and then I thought, well, the thing is, this is now such a serious album that I can't really call it that anymore, otherwise nobody's going to fucking listen to it. So technically I'll lose the bet when I do eventually release it, which could be God knows how many years' time, because it's very difficult. But yeah, things I do for a bet. One of the things that I do like about this industry is the fact that you never know everything. If I ever turn around and say I know everything, somebody shoot me in the fucking head because it means I've gone mad. I've taught loads of people over the years from all over the world, and I'm not alone. There's a whole generation of guys like me where when we started, there was no massive online presence to learn things. There was no universities to go to, especially in the British Isles. There was fucking nothing. You had incredibly slow internet. There was no YouTube at the time, no Facebook, none of this shit. People weren't walking around with mobile phones all the time. They'd sort of appear, but there wasn't really like internet on your phone. And I've taught a lot of these people, and a lot of them have went on. They're either running departments or running their own firms. They're doing really, really well, and I take off from that because it's good. There's other things that at the very least I share responsibility for, like the whole speed sculpting thing. If you ever wonder why people, I think, started calling it lunch crunch and stuff like that, it's because I realised that nobody had the domain name speedsculpt.com. I still own it, and I will own it till my dying day and beyond. I started speed sculpting because back then the speed sculpt was like 4 hours. Mine, it was an hour tops, not because my son came was very, very ill as a baby. And I only had about an hour tops to do a sculpt when I finished. And that's where it started from, And people kept saying, why do you have to do it that fast? And I'm thinking, well, because if I don't, it won't get done. And it kept my hand in, and it improved me, I don't do speed sculpts these days. It's like, just basically because, my hands are still fine, but I'm not going to push my luck. I did many, many years of 18-hour days of sculpting little tiny micro movements. But yeah, so what did I do before 3D? That's interesting. Well, I used to teach guitar at grade 8. Before that, I was an escape artist. Still hold the world record for that. I worked as a paint sprayer's mate, which is a vile job because we didn't have any masks, and I was breathing in, the yellow paint from the Caterpillar trucks and that, breathing all that in. It's one of the many reasons why smoking doesn't really bother me. The damage is already done many years ago. That and the fact my dad's garage had a blue asbestos roof. I used to sit hitting it with a hammer with clouds of blue asbestos. So these lungs were already fucked before I started smoking. Seriously, there's no point me stopping now. In fact, the layer of tar is probably keeping everything where it needs to be. I work as a session musician. I've been homeless. I've had an interesting life. I've got to see all sorts of interesting places in the world. I can't remember all of them, but I've worked in Vancouver, Montreal, Berlin, Potsdam, Rotterdam, Iceland. Where else? I'm missing loads of places though. Las Vegas, yeah. I've worked all over the place, and I've got to meet some very interesting people. And it's, I suppose, one of the person that I never, well, I have thanked, but I would like to give a public thanks to is when I very first started out. Well, not first started, but it'd be about, 1998. And I was working on, even at the time, was considered the worst computer machine in 3D. And a certain person took pity on me and saw some spark of something. I'm not sure why at the fucking time, because I was terrible. And basically bought me a new computer that was good enough, same level as everybody else, and then I started to fly. Boom. And that person was Glenn Southern. So, cheers, Glenn. So what rig am I running now? Not as powerful as you think, really, because I've learned that I don't really need extreme power most of the time. Don't own a VR headset because mainly the house ain't big enough. 2, I ain't got the fucking money because I'm eternally skint because I'm a terrible businessman. Somebody once said to me, why have you ever thought of running your own firm? Yeah, I tried that. You know what happened? I started Academy Effects, and in a year, it made money. Unfortunately, I went down the rabbit hole, managed to make a 3D scanning system that worked on your phone and produce detailed point clouds. Unfortunately, then I found out that both Apple, Microsoft and Google were all working on similar things and thought, fuck that, I'm not going against those guys, and mothballed it. it was very easy for me to disappear down a rabbit hole of, you know, R&D. I'm not a good businessman. Hold my hands up on that one. I've got big hands. These look really big, these hands on that camera. So yeah, what rig am I running right now? I've got to write this down because most times I haven't got a fucking clue. Right, I'm running two 24-inch ESM monitors. Why am I running those? Because they were very cheap and they were in Argos, and the colour balance is good. Period. I'm using a Cherry Maxdale keyboard, probably the most expensive keyboard I've ever had, but it's part of it was because I had problems with my shoulder last year. So now I have a very light touch keyboard, not hammering out like an angry fuck like I used to. Using an Intuos 4. I dumped this Cintiq years back. I've still got it upstairs. It's a fuck around. I really can't be arsed with it. I keep thinking, should I sell it? And then I think, well, you probably get about 200 notes for it. You might as well keep a hold of it. I'm running 16 gig of RAM. Yeah, I know that's not a lot, but that's, it is what it is. Graphics card. Well, the graphics card's probably worth more than the rest of the computer combined. That was a nice gift from AMD. And that's an AMD FirePro W9100, 32 gig of RAM graphics card. It's powerful enough to power fucking NASA. It's brilliant. Never wrote a texture space on that bastard. The CPU is an i7 4790K at 4 GHz, and I've got enough portable hard drives to power NASA. And if you think I'm joking, really, I should just take a photograph one day of all the fucking portable hard drives I have. Hear the washing machine. Is that not the loudest washing machine in the world? It's like, holy fucking hell. But yeah, so 25 years. What advice could I give anybody starting out now? Let's fly in the face of all common sense. Right, you do not need a degree in 3D. Right, you do not need an exam. I have fuck up. So have the rest of my generation. You know what, we've done alright. I've never yet, when I've been at a firm and had to hire somebody, turned them down because they haven't had an exam. It's down to talent. It's down to what are you prepared to give up. When I was learning, I was sitting 18 hours a day, soaking everything in I could, trying to learn. When other people were going out for a drink, I was sitting inside learning and practicing. When other people were going to gigs, guess what I was doing? When other people were going on holidays, guess what I was doing? And I did this for years until I was good enough, I thought, to actually maybe show some people some stuff. Nowadays it's a lot easier. You've got courses, there's shit all over YouTube, there's enough training stuff. I stopped doing training years ago because there's no fucking money in it. Because people, a lot of you will immediately parrot it the moment that comes out. You're lucky if you make one sale, no point. So I don't do it anymore. There's still a lot of stuff in my head. It's probably the sharpest it's ever been. But I don't want to work away anymore. I'm sick of working for people who don't know what they're fucking doing. There's art directors that literally are just skating on thin ice. One of the things I was going to put in there, who is the least talented person you've ever worked with? I would say who the scariest, low talented person that I've ever worked with. I won't mention names or where it was at. I'll just say it was a guy who, yes, even Louisa shouting upstairs, she knows what I'm about to say. Was a guy I was working. Well, I won't say what I was working as because it'll give away a clue. But I was working at the highest level, and this guy had no idea what a silhouette was. Yeah, really. He'd course his entire career and had no idea what a fucking silhouette was. And that was at that point I started thinking, you know what? In a couple of years I need to get out of production because it plays me head. I don't know it all. Never will. There's people out there far better than me. There's also far worse as well. Alright, I think I'm grounded enough to know that always know what you know and know what you don't know. Best advice I ever got, and I carry this through everything I do, including even running the local karaoke at my local. Do every job you do to the very best of your ability. And you know why you do that? Because then the person hiring you thinks, I'm getting more than value for money here. Nobody likes a lazy bastard. Nobody likes somebody who's not pulling their weight. And if you're employing somebody, you want your pound of flesh. If you're getting £2 of flesh, then you're happy. So there you go. 25 years. And that's, anybody else wants any other fucking questions, fire them off, I'll answer what I can. Bear in mind, there's stuff that I can't answer. Like many people, the stuff that's under NDA. You know, if I could add all that shit onto my reel and my CV, it'd be fucking mega. But that's the way of the industry. You know, that's they don't really, especially in films and visual effects, want to give too much credit to how much is being done by who, because you'd see a lot of the same fucking names cropping up time and time again. Yes, I can think of a few straight away that I know have worked on some amazing stuff that nobody ever knows about outside of the family. But anyway, I'm going to crack on because I'm obviously in the sort of twilight of my career now, you know, ish. I've said that before though. I said that about 10 years ago. Because I work from home these days. I really can't be asked. You know, my daughter's 9, my son's 13. I can't really work away again. So, biggest mistake I ever made, that was going to Montreal. I followed the money. It's never been about the money for me. I followed the money, used up every savings I had coming back early, because my mother was quite ill at the time. I can mention that now, because she's alright now. I was missing the kids. I was missing Louise, who got married to, you know, not too long ago. I took a hit on top of all my savings of about 12 grand. It wiped me out. It's why I'm sitting now with not as much money as I should do after 25 years in the industry. I've got basically fuck up. I've got enough to get through for another couple of weeks. Then something else will land that'll get us through another couple of weeks. Hand to mouth. That's where I'm going to live now, you know. But, you know, I'm not bitter about it. It is what it is. And if I had to make that decision again, I'd make exactly the same one. Right, anyway, 25 years. The wife appears to be coughing and dying upstairs, so I suppose I should really make sure she's still alive. And yeah, this is a couple of kids got me. I've done with it's in mirror image. You see, he might be grumpy, but he's my dad. That's the most important job of all. Dad and husband. Right, bye bye.